Hi, everyone. Welcome to Talk is Cheap, None Cuts, None Censors podcast. I am your host, Miss Carrie, baby, coming to you again with another one, a special guest, Miss Danielle Megan. Did I say
Me
that?
go.
Migo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we should have discussed
Oh,
that.
people slaughter that name, girl. It's okay.
Yes, Miss Danielle Miko. I love Danny. She's amazing. Yes, y'all, I do know her. I just messed up on that last name, but everything has been great. I'm glad to have her here supporting all the way from H Town. Yes, Houston,
That's
Texas in
right.
the house. You got Dallas meets Houston tonight, y'all. So yes, Miss Danny, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we ready to hear
Sure.
your story.
Yes. So, Miss Carrie, thank you so much for having me on your show tonight. Guys, my name is Danielle Mago. I'm an author. I'm a producer. I'm a director, screenplay writer. I'm the CEO and creator of the Sisters Talk podcast. In case you've never heard of it. Also, I'm the owner of Sisters Talk LLC. A lot of different things going on. Got a lot of projects completed last year, and it's just an honor to be on your show today.
Yes, thank you so much, and I'm glad to have you as well. Um, so yeah, that is a part of Sister Talks podcast. So y'all will hear about that amazing thing and the business that she has that goes along with that a little bit later. But tonight we're gonna talk to you guys about a few things. Y'all know it is still Happy Women's History Month. So yes, congrats to us. Happy
Yes.
Women's History Month. We are amazing. We stay empowered. We are doing our challenges. We are coming together, for equality and everything that's going on. Women are ruling the world right now. Not like just the
Literally.
reasons for this month and just where we come from and the struggles that we've been to not just be equal with men, but be on the same, not we're not competing with each other. You are my sister, you are my friend, love all across the board and stuff like that. So it's just great to know that we are here and we are supporting one another and
Yes.
within our businesses and everything that's going on. So shouts out to that. And also I was telling Miss Danny here, we are also amazing within social work. Yes. So happy social workers
Yes.
as well. Um, I am a social worker myself in mental health. It is amazing. I love my job. I love my clients. I've touched so many families. They have also touched me, and it's just more to come. From what's going on in the world and the things that we do. And that's why I do my podcast. Like I always mention in my shows, this is very therapeutic and self care for me to know that I am helping someone and saving a life and just expanding on that as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you, Danielle, for supporting as well. And so
Definitely.
tonight, guys, we'll also focusing on one of our main things tonight will be stress. Stress in everyday life, stress in an individual's life, anything that's going on with you. Stress just comes like I could be stressed right now. So, stress is
Facts.
everywhere. And then also just focusing in on stress within women or in the black and brown communities. It is at an all-time high with the things that have been going on within this past year with COVID, Black Lives Matter, and everything that's going on that's touching each and every one of us. Those things can be stressful, and they're also topics that we run away from. But we're going to talk about those tonight and how it affects us. It can affect anybody in your family, friends. It can even lead up to something that's traumatizing to you in an experience that you weren't even prepared for. So,
That's
just a
right.
little bit about stress so we can get a clear understanding and a feeling of where me and Danny are coming from tonight. So, stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It can come from any event or thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. Stress is your body's reaction to a challenge or a demand. In short terms, stress can be positive, but it can also be to avoid a danger or to meet a deadline. So it can be something positive, but you can get stressed out of something that you're like, oh, I got to hurry up and do this for my job, or oh, I got to hurry up and get my kids to this place, or oh, when my husband gets home, like even the signs of somebody coming into your area that may not even be having a good day can be stressful
That's
to you.
right. Yep.
So you never even know. And so just some symptoms about different types of stress. So you have your physical stress, your emotional stress, and your behavioral stress. So just a few things that goes on is like aches and pains in your body when you're stressed. You can have chest pain or the feeling like your heart is racing. Um, you can be exhausted. You could have trouble sleeping. You can have headaches, dizziness, or shaking. Stress, and like I said, in the black brown community, is also built up on like having high blood pressure, muscle tension, hypertension, stomach or digestive problems. So stress is everywhere, guys. So do y'all feel stressed? um, and just a little bit, like I said, weighing in on the black and brown community. And this is for everybody as well, but just weighing in on us in the time that we're living in. Stress is at an all-time high. So adult blacks are 20% more likely to report serious psychological distress than adult whites. Adult blacks living below poverty are 2 to 3 times more likely to report serious psychological distress than those living above poverty. Adult blacks are also more likely to have feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and worthlessness than adult whites are. So, not saying that Caucasians are not as stressed as the black and brown community or other African Americans or other races, but when we look at the poverty lines and where we live and the homelessness and things that's going on, the black and brown community is, at an all-time high in the majority of that population that is feeling stressed. And I really stand by that statement because I see it, like I said, in every day in my job that I have had clients that are of a certain race that are more stressed or feel more hopeless than others. And it's actually
Oh,
and it's not just to say that we feel sad for them, but this is why we're going to talk about some of the things that are going on in our community, and you can help one another, relieve that stress or feel like they matter. And we always got to stick together as well. So Danielle, do you have anything to add about stress?
beautiful segue. First of all, let me just address that. Beautiful segue
Thank
because
you.
that is so real. You know, black and brown people are facing all-time insurmountable loads of stress right now. We always
Yes,
have, to be quite frank and honest, but even more so today because now we're peeling back the wounds, we're peeling back the lies, we're exposing the truths about colorism, we're exposing the truths about wage gender gaps, we're exposing the truth on all the disparities that exist in our Western
yes,
civilization. We're exposing them. And the truth hurts for some people because what it does is it brings you forth and it makes you accountable for your actions. It makes you address your transgressions. And that's something that is extremely uncomfortable for our nation. That's something that I've noticed for years. And so here we
yes,
are in 2021. We're sending rovers to Mars. We're sending
yeah,
satellites into outside of our solar system. Yet we're still at conflict and odds with each other based on our color, based
mhm,
on our beliefs, based on our cultures. You know, and we're taking these differences, and instead of capitalizing on these differences and expounding on the beautiful nature of it all, we're at odds and we're hating each other because of it.
yes,
And it's like nobody stops to think. God created all this beautiful difference and variety, and we're fighting over it as opposed to utilizing each other's talents and being mesmerized by each other's beauty. Every culture is beautiful. Every single culture on this planet,
yes,
every color is beautiful, and yet we find something negative in everything. So I
exactly.
think that stress will only be relieved and alleviated through a change of mindset. A lot
Yeah,
of us need to reevaluate our mindsets. And I talk about this a little bit even in my book. I asked the question, where does racism come from, for example? And you think about it, it's like, well, children aren't born racist. Children
mm,
don't mind different colors. In fact, they color their little pictures with purple men, green men, yellow men. They don't
yeah,
care about color. So one can only assume by just common thought, this is something that this ism that I'm talking about is something that is bred into children at a very young age. And so, what we have to do in order to end this senseless hate towards each other is we have to stop teaching our
yeah,
children and the younger generations to hate each other. It's counterproductive. it's not gonna make us progress or evolve. In fact, it's making us take, 50 to 100 years back, steps backwards in our societal growth.
Yes, yes, and well put, Danielle. And that's some of the things that we're gonna hit on tonight. Like she's gonna come with more great information, and that's some of the things that are just going on now that's been going on for years. This has been years and years of built up things that's traumatizing to our community, to our population, and that's affecting the entire nation. Like if we're gonna be if we're gonna be the United States, we need to be united at all
We need to
fronts.
be united.
Yeah, and everything that's affecting, like you never know. Right, like you said, with racism is always big, but at the same time, that's affecting all of us. If all races are not together in equality, then when they hurt one race or it's hindering some other races as well, and it's affecting them because who's gonna do certain jobs? Who's gonna be there to change the way that views are made, or who's to say, like you said, who's to sit up there and say that a white kid should not be friends with a black friend? They may love their black friend, they may not even see color at all, they just know that they're a little bit darker than them. But that's adding up more and more stress that a child doesn't even need. That's adding up more and more stress that, hey, I love my white counterparts and where we come from, and I don't even see any of that. I'm not judgmental to that. Now who are you to tell me that now I have to be judgmental, or I have to watch who I talk to because of the
That's right.
betrayal that has been happening over and over from years, from ethnicity, and
Right.
nationalities. We eat their food, we do this, we do that. We need each other to come together and be that united front.
Oh, absolutely. 100%
Yes.
agree. But the reality is it just comes from centuries of conditioning. And that's the reason why I definitely touch on the mindset. And that's the reason why even what you do is so important, Miss Carrie, because that mental health is everything. And
Thank
when
you.
people tamper with your ability to make sound judgment and to decipher
Mhm.
the difference between right and wrong, that's when we start blurring the lines. That's when we start making stereotypes and stigmas something that's acceptable in our society, which it should never be. And when we talk about races, really, it's only one race. Jane Elliott helped me to see that when, a few weeks back. We're one big race, but we're different colors and we're different shapes, we're different
Yeah.
sizes, we have different cultures and we have different beliefs. And that's it. That's the only thing that truly divides us. And so I think when we start thinking on a higher level of understanding what we as human beings are all about and what we're here to do, and that's to help each other, I think then we'll start progressing. But we'll never progress if we continuously find hate when we divide each other based on these differences. And when you think about this mental conditioning that I'm alluding to, you think about the
Yeah.
word black, right, in the
Mm.
dictionary. And it's synonymous with all these negative connotations like, grievous, tragic, dirty,
Yeah.
cataclysmic, for example. And you're thinking about these words and you're well, you should ask yourself, why are these words synonyms to black?
Yeah.
So even from a subconscious level, an innate look at this word, you automatically think something negative. And so what this country has done over time is that they painted this image of black people in media, in social media,
Yeah.
everywhere you look on TV or if you see a billboard, it's a negative connotation. Back in the 90s, I know you can probably remember this. You're pretty young, but I hope you can remember how they depicted a picture of black men as gangsters, thugs.
Yes.
In the early part of 2010, 2011, 2012, this is how our politicians referred to our black males whenever they committed a crime. In most cases, they were found innocent, but they referred to these young black men as thugs. And now we're changing that narrative and we're twisting it around in 2021. But
Yeah.
look at how long we went with this acceptable negative connotation of black men.
Yeah.
These are the types of things that we have to change, and we're starting to make breakthrough. People are starting to consciously wake up
Mhm.
and realize that a lot of the things that we were doing day to day that we just assumed was right, it was all wrong.
Yeah. Yes, totally agree. And it's just kind of like piggybacking off of what you were saying, it's just saying that we've all been through something. And, some of it has been worse than others. But some of these things have been some of the same things and the same conditioning and the same getting over, the same forgiving and forgetting that each race has had to experience. They've all experienced their different types of racism. They all have experienced the different types of slavery or different things that have gone on. So it's just like if you can sit up there and have children with us or become biracial, it's not a such thing as biracial until you put two races together, right? So if you can
Right.
sit there and say, "Oh, I like the way their women look," or "I like the way their men look," why can't you like us as a whole race and a whole nation to come together to say that we can do jobs together? We are equal. We can have some of the same powers that things is going on because we know some black millionaires as much as we know some Caucasian millionaires. We know some
That's
Asian
right.
millionaires. We know some Hispanic millionaires. Like we're all one together. So let's just sit at the same table and eat together.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And
Yes,
I'm gonna kind of redirect this a little bit because in the beginning you talked about stress, you
yeah,
talked about Women's History Month, you talked about a lot of great aspects of as it refers to women.
yeah,
And shout out to all my female entrepreneurs, shout out to all my working females, shout out
yeah.
to all my single parent mothers, okay? Because
Mhm.
I know that it is not easy. Been there, done that, and stress can kill,
Yeah,
not to be so grim, but stress can kill, and we don't pay enough homage to these incredible women of all colors, of all nationalities, of all
exactly.
cultures that are out here grinding daily, some without the assistance of a male counterpart. You understand? They're out here getting it. So
Yeah,
kudos to you for not allowing a society to put you in this box and tell you what it is that you need to look like or who you should be with or how many kids you should have or when you should get married or when you should buy that first purchase on put that down payment on a house or how
yeah,
many cars you should have. It's nobody's business but your own how you want to live your life. The American dream is not the dream that everyone thought it is. Now, is it? If you're
yeah.
looking back on it now, it's not necessarily necessary to have a house if you don't have the means to have that. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily necessary for you to be married to your significant other if you can't find someone that's on that same energy and frequency that you're on. So at the end of
Yeah,
the day, in order to mitigate this stress, in my opinion, is you doing what's best for you and not feeling any type of way about how anybody else perceives you and the way you're living your life because it's simply none of their business.
exactly. And yes, that's greatly put how you said it. And it's just saying that, like we've been saying this whole time, everybody's in a stressful situation, no matter how big, no matter how small. And just thinking about what women or men are going through this time, like I said, we need to really stick together and come together and just support one another and empower one another and get through a lot of things that have been happening because like I said, it affects all of us. Our
Oh
past
yes,
affects our future, and the future affects more than what it can be because you never know it. And a lot of times, like people are, I always commend, like you were commending single mothers and stuff. I always commend like parents as a whole that have children during this time in this society. Like it's a whole different conversation from when you were born, Danielle, to when I was born to now. These should, and you probably experienced this with your own children. Like you have some conversations that are intense or the stressful ones that now you have to
yes,
explain to your sons, to your daughters, of any race, that this is what could actually happen to you when you go out. You're just going to school having a good day, or this is
that's right.
something that could come up that because we've done seen it from the lines of what's happening in the schools to what's happening
Mhm.
outside in society that's affecting everyone. That is just bringing up more and more stress that you couldn't even imagine. Like we know these things were happening back in the day, but
Mhm.
everything has such a open eye now and a zoomed in on it so much that it's coming
That's
up
right.
again and again. And you're like, why are these things happening? What
Mhm.
conversations are we not having? Now, this is the time to have those. It's time to have those
Yes,
intense conversations. Don't pass them up. Don't, don't wait till you are made an example out of. Address them now. And
that's
I
right.
feel like that's a lot of things that go on is that we just bottle a lot of things in and we say, well, we'll figure it out when we get there. No, we don't have time for that. Let's conduct ourselves accordingly, and let's handle this as a united front to come together that to tackle the how can I say it, of the problems or the disbelief that we have in our minds about what's going on and what's happening here. Because this can
Yeah.
end up, if we don't tackle it now, this can go on again for another 20 years. You know,
Or
this can go
200
on
years,
for
to be
more,
honest.
yeah,
Or
more and
another
more
200.
generations are experiencing it.
And I think people underestimate the power of simple conversation and open dialogue. And that's two of the premises that I built Sisters Talk LLC on. We have to, as especially as a Black and Brown community, and also even non-Black and Brown communities, we all have to be able to address the beast head on, address that elephant in the room. Because as soon as
Yep,
we do that, the faster we can get towards making and creating a strategy to form a solution for some of these issues that we have, because a lot of these issues form because we're not talking about them, like you said, and we are avoiding the truth. I have noticed that throughout this country, people do not necessarily side with those who tell the 100% unfiltered truth, and we have to start accepting that and loving our ugly truth. When we start
yes,
accepting and acknowledging that, then we can start the process of healing and correcting some of the wrongs that have been made towards certain cultures, the Native Americans, the
yep,
Black people that have built this country on their backs, some of the white people who are not getting their fair share of cut as they believe. There's a
yep,
lot of different feelings going on and emotions and undercurrents, some subconscious undercurrents that are happening. And these reactions and these triggers, we're seeing it play out, as a response to their stress. And
yep,
so if we start creating a society where it's more comfortable to be honest about your feelings,
yes,
instead of less reactory and more of a let's talk about this first, let me get it out, let me dish it out first, let's talk about it, I'm upset about this, right? Let's take a more therapeutic approach as opposed to just a responsive approach. And that's what I
yes,
think this country has been used to, and they've allowed this to happen for so long that we're just kind of expecting that. But we as a society, we have to gain back that control and say no, this is enough, we're not doing this anymore. There will be no
yes,
more responsive reactions to triggers that trigger you. You're going to go get help. You're going to sit down with a counselor or a therapist. You're going to talk about this. And you will
yes,
suffer the consequences if you decide to take matters in your own hands and therefore hurting other people because of something that you didn't take care of as an individual. So why make a few hundred people or five people suffer for something that you could have simply mitigated by having counseling? And this
yes,
is this is the naked truth that we're not addressing in this country. We're not doing that enough. All of these, big wig people, high class platforms need to promote the awareness of mental health illnesses that are going on and the importance of mental health in general. Like we need to focus primarily on that because people are allowing their stress to take over and consume them and their thoughts and
yes,
their actions towards other people.
yes. Well put, Danny. And so, just shifting gears a little bit, and how is your, how are you relating to stress? What's some stressful things that, or things that have happened in others' lives that you would like to share about how
Sure.
stress can take over?
It's so much. I mean, I could just go on, but I'll tell you one that's near and dear to me is the passing of my cousin during COVID, September 18th of 2020. And
Yeah.
it was extremely stressful because due to the virus, our family was not allowed to visit her
Mm.
throughout the entire stay. And she was there from April until September of 2020. And
Wow.
when I tell you, it took a toll on all of us because you feel guilty. You feel guilty that you
Yes.
can't be there for your loved one when you know they want you there with them.
Yeah.
And you also feel helpless because there's literally nothing that you can do. And so my heart goes out to a lot of families that have suffered the same thing that I felt, and even greater. I know people who have lost entire families inside their homes, their mothers, their fathers, their sisters, their brothers. Everybody's gone, and they're the only ones left. This virus has taken a lot of lives, and also the brutality towards different colors. have also taken a lot of lives within the last year or two, and even before that time. But what I'm saying is that it's now being exposed, and the
Mhm.
numbers are increasing. And I don't get that, because you would think that now that this problem that a lot of people didn't believe occurred or existed, now that it's exposed, why aren't we doing a better job with mitigating this issue and actually bringing these families to justice? Some of these people that are committing the crimes, you know, criminalize these people, make them serve their time, and give the family the justice that they deserve. And it just
Yeah,
doesn't seem like we're doing that at a fast enough pace, yet we're seeing so many lives being taken.
yeah, yes, totally agree. So, what are some things that during this time that your cousin or in there, what actually happened and what led up to her being sick during COVID, and like how was that experience within itself, not being able to
So
visit and everything
So
that
she
was
wasn't sick due to COVID. She had cancer, and she had been fighting it at that point in time for 8 years straight.
okay.
She was going through a divorce, and she had just gotten a divorce finalized 2 years prior to her passing. So it was bittersweet because I watched her battle this and fight. She stayed so strong to the very end, and she was finally removed from a very toxic relationship. And it seemed like she was only left a few years to fully enjoy her freedom and her well-being, and loving on herself, finding out who she really is. And I just use her situation, her story, as a platform and a testimony, because I want all the women, no matter what you look like, no matter what you're going through, to put yourself first, especially if you have children. Because as
Yeah,
we mentioned earlier on in this show, stress can kill. And we
yeah,
really have to learn how to manage our stress levels. You have to be a manager of everything in your life. And that's an element of self love. And when we do that, we can minimize some of the stressors that trigger us in life. So put yourself first, show yourself some self love. Do not stay in toxic relationships. I am a big, big believer that when you surround yourself around negative people and negative energy, you can create a situation where you manifest negative responses in your body, aka dis-ease,
mm,
aka illness. And that I'm not a doctor. I haven't medically or scientifically proved this, but energy is real. Spirits are real, whether people want to believe that or not, whatever you classify it as. So I always want to just remind my ladies and my men to leave toxic situations, whether it's at your workplace, whether
yeah,
it's in a relationship, whether it's toxic family members. We
yeah,
have those too. And we
yeah.
have to be consciously aware of that and minimize our exposure to these types of people.
Yes, totally agree. And just thinking about everything, that your cousin went through, and like you said, she finally left a relationship that was not good for her or benefiting her, and then she had 2 years left to live. So what were some things that she had on her list that she wanted to do within her time, or did how did she feel? Was there even a time that she knew that she may pass away or could possibly get sick enough to die from the stressful things that have happened?
Yes, and that's a very good question. So September of 2018, her and I, we were in Las Vegas, just having a good time. I was actually on a
Right.
business trip, but
I
we were
love
getting
it.
it in between times. And so we were
Yes.
having lunch at the SLS hotel, and she told me, she everything turned grim quickly. She told me,
Mm,
a person with my condition, I looked it up. It showed me that I only have maybe 3 to 5 years left to live. And
mm,
we both started shedding tears. And I told her, I said, you are not in control of that. Don't worry about that. Let's create a platform so that your voice can be heard, and let's get you in front of people. Let's express and get out and just shed that negative energy by communicating through open dialogue and letting these people know, men and women, look, I'm battling cancer. I've gotten a divorce. I've left this toxic situation, and I'm gonna live my best life. And that's how
yeah.
Sisters Talk LLC was born. And so when she said that to me, it really did not register, Miss Carrie. It really didn't. I
Yeah.
didn't think that what she told me that day would really come to pass less than 3 years. that time.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are fighting battles that you don't know anything about. You know what
Exactly.
you know on the exterior, but you never know what a person is dealing with on the inside. And boy, when I tell you, it was some things that I found out after her passing that just floored me. I mean, I was to my knees. But I say that to say this again: when you know that you are in toxic situations, when you're having to come home and fuss and you're raising your blood pressure, you said something about blood pressure earlier, which is very true in the Black community. When you're doing things that are literally exacerbating your energy, you need to
Mm,
reevaluate what you're doing, the people
yeah.
that you're doing it with, what's going on, where do you need to rebalance your life, where do you need to recalculate where you're spending your time
Mm,
and your energy is invaluable. You can never
yeah.
get these things back. And I don't think people really understand that until something happens to them. So I want this situation with my cousin to be a platform and a reminder to all people that put yourself first, and also make sure that you're evaluating your environment, because environmental stress can also create internal reactions inside of you as well. So we have to be mindful of those stressors. We have to be mindful of the people that we surround ourselves with. And I think that, everything happens for a reason. Let me say that. And nothing that was done by mistake. It's
Yeah.
still hard to accept because I'm human, but I do understand that this happened so that this would be an example for the next person to change their life. She did exactly what she wanted to do after she got her divorce. She
Yeah.
found love again. That's what I always wanted for
That's
her.
great.
She wanted to go to Jamaica. We never made that trip, but
Mm,
and that's one thing I do regret.
yeah.
But she did get a chance to travel. She did a couple of cruises, and that's what she wanted. And I love
That's great.
myself as well as every family member included and friend included. We love to see her happy and living her best life because she deserved it.
Yes, and that's great. So a little bit more about you hit on it a little bit, and just RIP to her. I know we've talked a lot about her and the wonderful things that she is and her legacy that's left, that you're also um promoting yourself within and promoting her as well and telling her story. So get a little bit more into about Sister Talk LLC and what it means to you and what are some things that you guys discuss and how did this come about?
Yes. So yes, Sisters Talk LLC has been going strong since 2019. We
Yeah.
started out in Houston, Texas, having a couple of events, mainly focused around tools for dating. Because
Okay.
again, her biggest challenge that I noticed was finding love. There's
Mhm.
so many strong women out here of all backgrounds, and when you're a female, and when you know exactly what you want out of life, and
Yes.
when you're very passionate and you're a go-getter and you're dominant, it's hard to find men who can handle that. They want a little of it, but they don't want all of that comes with the package. So you
Mm-hmm.
really have to take your time and find mates, whether it's a male or female, who are compatible with your work ethic, with your grind, with your everyday lifestyle, with your some of your hobbies. It doesn't have to be the exact alignment, but find
Yeah.
someone who appreciates you. Find someone that
Mhm.
appreciates that tenacity. Find somebody who appreciates that dominance and that will to think for self, because some people prefer you to just say yes to everything, while there's others who prefer a person who's going to actually give them a real response. And so I'll say that Sisters Talk LLC is definitely my baby for so many
Yeah.
different reasons, because my cousin was the driving mechanism behind the reason why I created this business. And it's something that I just will never let go. And since I started this in 2019, we went to Dallas, we did a show, and we sold
Yeah.
out, and we'll be coming back. We're just waiting for things to get back to normal.
Yeah.
But I really love the engagement of the crowd, of the audience. I love that the fact that they felt comfortable and safe enough to talk about their real issues in front of all these people they never met in their life. I want to especially shout out all of the panel special guest speakers for my panel. We had men and women, married
Yeah.
and single, and they were giving the audience their take on what tools for dating is all about. You know,
Mm,
their take and their experience in dating and what they've done to overcome some of the challenges in their lives. A lot of positive affirmations. And you know, this is what we need to start that healing process, because there's so many of us that are so great, but we somehow attract such broken people. You know, we
mm,
can't figure it out. But that's a whole topic for
all right.
another day. But I just want you to know, whoever you are that's listening to this podcast today, that continue to be great. Don't allow broken people that you've attracted in the past to make you give up on love. There's gonna be somebody out there that respects and appreciate who you are, and they're gonna love all of you, the good, bad, and the ugly. But we have to have patience with ourselves. We have to take our time to learn ourselves, and we can't love anyone else more than we love us. We
Ourselves.
have to love ourselves first, and that's why I'm so big on self love. We don't
Yeah,
do that enough, especially strong women. We
yeah.
put everybody else first. We put our kids, our spouses, our work, everything before us. You
Mm,
know, and then we wonder why we're run down. We wonder why we're tired. We wonder why we got that diagnosis from the doctor, because you never put yourself first.
yes, yes. Well put, Danny. And just adding on to that is just like she's saying, love yourself first. And I'm big on that as well. You can't accommodate someone else's needs until you get yours in line. So it's just like, and that goes across the board, whether you're the head of the household or you're the helpmate of the household. You can't sit up there and be your best or give your best self until you can, confront your issues and come along with yourself and say, these are the things I'm dealing with. This is what's going on. How can I go about this? Or can you support me? And all my podcast shows, previous episodes before this, we always, and Danny's doing it as well, we always say talk to someone, have your support team, have someone that you can confide in about the things and the stress factors that you're going through. You never know what just talking about them and having that listening ear can do for you, and to overcome some of those things that's going on, things that you're struggling with, or think just talking about having a good day or how your day went can even help sometimes. And just knowing that you have somebody that cares to listen to you and to be there for you. And it doesn't have to be, like she said, sometimes it doesn't even have to be that you're looking for someone to get married to, because that's not necessarily the American dream these days. Things can change. And the American dream, as I've gotten older, it always just comes from what is your dream. That's the American dream. It's what you want in your life. What are some things that you see yourself doing? What was your reason? And we always get spiritual here on Talk is Cheap. What was your reason that God placed within you that you see in yourself? What is your gift and your passion and the legacy and the mark that you're going to leave on this world? It can be something as simple as that you just want to see yourself do good and come from the household, better than the household than you grew up in, and just raising your own family. Or it can be something like Danny said with her cousin and her family, to say, I'm going to live my best life for these next couple of years. And Danny was like, oh, I don't know if you're going to pass away, but like she said, her cousin left a legacy within those last 2 years of her life to live for her and to do some things that she wanted to do on her bucket list. So you don't have to just say that you're going to, we're not telling you to start a business or to, map up some things like you live in your last, but you never know what could happen. And just
Right.
mending those broken relationships and always surrounding yourself with healthy relationships and overcoming your traumatic experience. You are not what you've been through. And that's a
Come
lot of
on.
things. People can get tied up in a lot of that. But then this y'all shall not. But then, a lot of things get tied up in that. So Danny, just going along with great conversation and things that we're going on here. What are some things that you talk about? You also do your Sister Talks podcast, and you hit a little bit on the events that you have. So what are a little bit more topics that you talk about with dealing with relationships?
Oh my goodness. We talk about it all. You know, we talk about
Yes.
tools for dating, conversations with a twist, married edition, single edition. We talk
Yes.
about, things to look for when you're dating a person. You know, sometimes we get caught up on the exterior. A lot of us do.
Yeah.
It's human nature. But we have to evolve and think a little bit deeper than that. We have to see beyond, the beautiful hair and the makeup and the red bottom shoes. And we have to get to the core of who that person is. We want people to date with a purpose. If
Yeah.
it's something that you want to manifest out of that dating, you need to go in it just like when you go into your work every day. You need to take this situation seriously. If this person lies a lot, then that's a serious red flag. If this
Yeah.
person has never committed in their life,
Mm,
huge red flag. If
mhm.
this person likes to spend a lot of money, doesn't pay their bills, but buys that bag first, that's a huge red flag. So we talk about the things that, in society we play about and we make fun about. But these are real issues that people encounter when they try to settle down with people and they avoided all these red flags because they just like what was shiny and pretty. So we
Yeah.
get down and dirty with these conversations and we address the truth, the naked truth
Mm,
about what it is when we're dating. What is it that we're looking for? Why were we attracted to this individual? Now that we know the truth about them and we know the real them, why are we remaining in this toxic situation? We talk about things like
yes.
that.
Yes, that's great. So what's coming up next for Sister Talk?
Girl, I don't know. You tell me. With all this stuff going on with COVID, we've definitely put those type of events on hold until we can get back to our normal scheduled program. But for now, we're just rocking out with the podcast. We've had many
Yes, the
great
podcast
people
is
come onto
great.
the show within the last year and a half. COVID has really brought on some awesome people who have really shared a lot of dynamic, important information to the community. So I'm just riding that sail, Miss Carrie, until we can get back
Yes.
to normal and get these events back in rotation.
Yes, totally agree. And like I said, I want to commend you for not just telling your own story, but telling your cousin's telling her story and the legacy that she left behind, and you guys getting that together, and you still fulfilling that dream. And I know we talked a lot about you doing, and you like, I specifically have a passion to do this, not just for myself, but for her. And I know you guys, like I said, I'm here for you, sister, because it's just like
Thank you.
you were supposed to do that with her, and for you to have to
Exactly.
change up some things, change the dynamic of some things, and say, "Whoo, can I get the strength to continue to do this?" It's just truly amazing. And your story is also amazing as well, Danny. And Danny didn't tell y'all, but she do the relationship coaching with her husband as well. So they're great. They're, awesome couple that
Thank
empower,
you.
like I said, we empower one another, and they support one another as well. To help you guys with not just relationships, but to notice self care and to support each other in the Black and Brown community while promoting Black love and love through with all couples. So truly, y'all are truly amazing, and you are
Thank
amazing as
you.
well.
Thank you
So
so
just
much.
wrapping up some things, we had a few comments. They mainly from like my big brother, but he's out there in the age show. I'm glad to have him on. But his name is Chris. He said, "Hey, Care Bear." But he also took a lot of things. Chris is also in a committed relationship, and him and his significant other, they're great, and they have a wonderful household as well out there in H Town. But he also took from it. He said that self worth is the foundation of how we tend to treat or respect to others. Yes, we totally
Yes,
agree.
absolutely.
And he was sending tons of love our way, and just like I said, Black men are empowering us Black women
Yes.
do the things that we do. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Danny, thank you for having it. Any last words for our viewers?
Thank you so much, Miss Carrie, for having me. And again, I've said it all so much. So I just want
Yeah.
to thank you again for having me as a guest on your show. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I love the truth that you're sharing with the community. Keep rocking out. Keep doing what you're doing, sis. I got your back.
Yes, thank you so much. And we're building lifelong connections here, and we will be in touch, Miss Danny. So y'all might see
Absolutely.
another collab with Talk is Cheap and Sister Talks LLC. Also, check out her podcast. Like she said, she has a lot of amazing guests coming up as well. And we're here. We've both been running for about a year and a half now. So our anniversary is coming up soon. But it has been great. So yes. So
Awesome.
thank you, Danny, for having you
Thank
having
you.
me on and having you on as
This
well.
was a great conversation. I can't wait to come back.
Yes, yes. I got some panel discussions up my sleeve.
Oh, I'm ready. Sign me up.
Right, yes. Well, thank you for coming on. Talk is cheap, none cuts, none censored. And you have a good one. And yes, shouts out to H Town. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye. So yes, guys, I had on Miss Danielle. She's amazing. She is the CEO of Sister Talks LLC. She also is a relationship coach and an author. So truly just check out and support her. And like I said, you guys, let's come together. A lot of we hit on stress, but stress is in every community, it's in every population, it's in within every ethnicity group. So we should always just come together to, empower one another, support one another, because no matter how much you have went through in your life and your experience, you are not what you have gone through. You should always just come over and um, overcome some of those things that you have, experienced. And that's not saying to forget what you've gone through or to not tell your story or listen to the stigmas that's going on, but just to overcome some of those things and know that you matter, and your thoughts matter. Your people are here to support you, even if you don't think you have any support. If you could just find that one person that you can confide in, that you can, that can be that listening ear, or give give you some advice, that you acknowledge that they're there to support you and to be there for you. It's always great. And you can have somebody just like Danny that's willing to, when you pass on, to live on your legacy and to um, leave your mark and leave your place. Like I feel like she's doing something very tremendous, and it's great that she can still say, hey cousin, I'm doing it for you, I'm doing this for us, and tell her story. So yes, you guys, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys take care of yourselves. I always do my hashtags and I do those hashtags because it is about self-care, it is about mental health awareness, and it also is about the campaigns that are out there. I'm always supporting those. So this season I have chosen the save a life, um, and it's explanatory within itself, and it also goes along with the Save a Life Foundation across the nation as well. So yes, thank you guys, and always happy Women's History Month. Um, it's amazing in what we do. And thank you guys. And then also to be a guest on Talk is Cheap, None Cuts, None Censored. Email me, podcast of Dallas info at gmail.com. Always looking for new guests and new faces and to build those lifelong connections. And yes, I have enjoyed tonight's conversation. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Miss Carrie Baby on Talk is Cheap. Y'all have a good one. Bye.